have on my Saints jersey. It's game day. Got on number 41, that's Alvin Kamara, not Kamara, Kamara. I'm going to be doing some side dishes for the ribs. And actually, I think I'm going to start a series, a side dish series, yes. And it's going to have all of our tasty side dishes. Today's side dishes will be baked beans, right, because those go good with ribs, and so do green beans. So it's two types of beans, green beans, baked beans, beans today. Mr. T.F.C. is working on the ribs. Let's go check it out. Stand by.
Oh, y'all caught me. Hey, before we start, hit subscribe, hit like, hit share, dial your favorite. If you go to jail, the person you're going to call to bail you out, call them and tell them to hit subscribe and hit like too. Welcome to T.F.C. We're doing a little wood. So this is our wood. I like to mix my wood together. So here we got apple and cherry, which is a unique flavor. A lot of people use pecan. A lot of people go with, mesquite or hickory. Depends on what type of ribs I'm making. So right now, I call these my candy yam ribs. So we got a nice paprika, pepper, white sugar, black pepper, and brown sugar. We put that on there, we let it sit. You see it kind of makes a glaze over the ribs as it sit. And we cook them vertical, so we don't cook them laying, we cook them vertical. So that means that the dripping of seeds are going to go inside the meat. It's going to infuse itself in the meat. If someone tell you that they ribs so good they fall off the bone, they don't know how to cook ribs. See, you want ribs with a little pull so you can cut them, eat them. You don't be picking the bone up. Now you just got real meat soup. You don't want no real meat soup. No rib meat soup. You should have like something. Real meat soup. No real meat soup. We want them to fall off. We ain't gonna really vlog a lot today. I just want to show you guys how we live. We're just relaxing, watching Who Dat Nation. Go ahead and win that thing. Got the grill going. We're gonna put the charcoal on there, get that going, get the smoke, get the wood smoking, and we're gonna cook these ribs. I do believe you guys are getting a special video today of sides. Check it out. Welcome to the TFC family, baby. Hit subscribe.
It's me, Mrs. TFC. Hey everybody. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be making the side dishes to go along with the tasty ribs that Mr. TFC has put on the smoker. But before I get started with the recipe, because this is my portion of the video now. So before we get started with my portion of the video, go ahead and take a second to like this video. Like the video if you like baked beans. Like the video if you like string beans. Like the video if you like ribs. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 2,000 viewers. It would be awesome if you hit the subscribe button. Remember, it doesn't cost you a thing. Go ahead and hit that right now. I'll give you a second. All right, baked bean time. We're gonna get started with those because those take longer than the green bean. All right, Mr. TFC is watching the football game. While he's doing that, oh, and it's the Falcons versus the Seahawks. We obviously want the Seahawks to win, right? Falcons stink. If you disagree, drop down in the comments and let us know. Here we go. We have 1 onion here and 1 medium bell pepper, green bell pepper. I'm going to roughly chop these and then add them to a food processor because we want the pieces small. We don't want big chunks of onions and bell peppers in our baked beans. So let me dice the green bell pepper and the onion off camera, and I'll come back and show you what they look like after I'm done. Here's our food processor. I'm gonna pulse this a couple, yeah, it's on chop. Okay, so I'm gonna pulse this a couple of times just to get the onions a little finer. That should be enough. See how tiny they are on the knife? That's a better, you can see that a little better. See how small they are? You want them that small. Same thing with the green bell pepper. Something that small and fine. You don't want it pureed, but you want little bits just like that. Just roughly chopping these here. Doesn't have to be uniform or perfect. We're gonna get to that in the food processor. I I did wash the veggies off beforehand. See how finely diced that is? Now there's also a couple pieces of onion in there, but that's one medium bell pepper that was finely chopped. As always, don't forget to look in the description box to get the exact measurements and ingredients that you'll need to make the, I'm gonna call these Who Dat Baked Beans. They are so good. They are perfect for game day. If you're not from New Orleans, you can substitute in the Who Dat for whatever else you guys say there. Like I think the Falcons say rise up. I think, so you can call them rise up baked beans. In this house, we're gonna call them Who Dat Baked Beans. That's just how it goes in the New Orleans household. All right. We're gonna heat up a pan to medium heat, and I'm going to go grab 1 pound of ground beef. This part, let me mention this part is optional. You do not have to add ground beef to your baked beans. Let me repeat that. You do not have to add ground beef to your baked beans. And I'm trying to think how long ago I had that. I had that a few years ago, and I said, is this ground beef in the baked beans? I had never had that before. I didn't know people did that, but apparently they do. So this ground beef has already been seasoned. You want to break up the ground beef in really fine pieces. Sorry, before I forget, like I mentioned, the ground beef I just put in the pan was already pre-seasoned. I would suggest you season your ground beef as well. Just some salt and pepper or some seasoned salt. Just some, you want to give it a little flavor, but not too much. Remember, it's going into baked beans. The ground beef is not the star of this show. But you also don't want flavorless ground beef in your baked beans. So add some kind of seasonings to your ground beef to taste. I'm going to drain this off camera, and then I'm going to set this aside in a bowl. While that's draining, as you can see, I have a little oil left at the bottom from the ground beef. I'm going to add in my peppers and onions to that. If that grosses you out, you can wipe out the pan and add like a tablespoon of canola oil to the pan. But I'm just going to go in and throw these onions and peppers right back into the pan. Here's our green bell pepper. We're going to saute this on medium heat for about 5 minutes. While that's sauteing, let's preheat our oven to 325 degrees. There's a little color on the peppers and onions. So it's been 5 minutes, and that's pretty good. We want to go ahead and set these aside and actually start mixing our baked beans together. Let's get started on that. Here we have our baked beans. I'm using the Bush's grilling beans, the Southern Pit barbecue flavor. I have 2 cans of this. You can use the baked beans you prefer. Of course, if you use a different flavor, it's going to taste different. I recommend the Southern Pit barbecue. Goes really well with the rest of the ingredients we're going to add. 2 cans of these are going to go into this baking dish right here. While I'm doing this, I mentioned I was going to add ground beef to my baked beans. Leave in the comments below if you like ground beef in your baked beans, or if you like them with just some bacon, or if you like them with neither and you like them vegetarian. Next, I'm going to add half a cup of dark brown sugar, not light brown. We want dark brown sugar in this case. So mix that in. Next, we're adding 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard. Believe me, you won't taste the mustard. Next, we're adding 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1/4 cup of ketchup. Now we're going to add in our ground beef, and remember, this is optional. And we're also going to add in our peppers and onion mixture. Let's mix this all together. If you want to add half a pound of ground beef, you can also do that. These are going to be fairly meaty. This next step is also optional, but if you want to be EF, that means extra fat. If you want to be EF, like we are sometimes in this household, you can add 2 strips of roughly chopped bacon to the top. That's what I'm going to do now. And that is it. We're now going to put these in the oven for 45 minutes, but we're going to check on them halfway through. So in about 20 minutes, I'm going to check on the baked beans. The oven is preheated to 325 degrees. Let's get these in the oven. And we're back. It's been 20 minutes. Now I'm going to actually stir the bacon in. I'm going to mix the bacon in. And we're going to cook this for another 30 minutes or so. Go back in the oven at 325 degrees. We'll check on this in 30 minutes. All right, it's been 45 minutes or so. The beans should be done. Let's take a look. Look at that. You see that? It's nice and bubbling. See how it's bubbling right there? Look at that. Ooh, so tasty. Now you can also choose to pull out the bacon if you want. Pull out the bacon. I guess I'm gonna leave it in there. I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. Look at that. See that steam coming up off of there? So good. All right, so next we are going to turn our attention to the green beans. And we're gonna set these aside and let them cool off and let the flavors come together. And then we'll plate it up with the green beans and the ribs, and that's dinner. But let's get started on the green beans. And we're back. We're now going to shift focus and start on our green beans. These are pretty quick and easy to make, and there's not a real recipe for these. It's a lot of tasting and whatever your preferences are. But I'm going to show you the basic steps on how to get there. First, I'm going to take this huge can of Del Monte green beans. This is, can you see that? 50 ounces. You can also use French green beans, but I'm going to make this big can and we're going to eat this a few times this week. So that's one of our veggies for the week. Next, the water in these green beans, we're actually going to drain and rinse off the green beans. Don't use the water that comes in the can. Rinse the green beans, drain off that water. Let's add these to the pot. Fill this can up with water. Let's pour this water into the green beans. That's about 2/3. I did about 2/3 of the can. So how many ounces is that? Let's do some math, y'all. Alexa, what's 50 divided by 3?
50 divided by 3 is 16.6667.
So like it was 32 ounces, so about 32 ounces or 4 cups of water go in the pot. Had to ask Alexa. Let's add some salt, some pepper. I have here a half a stick of butter. This is salted butter. Let's add that in. Some onion powder we're going to add in. Also going to add in some minced onion. Adding in some bacon bits. Of course, you can omit these if you're vegetarian. Last and most important step, adding in some light brown sugar. I guess you can add in dark. It's going to taste slightly different. Just going to add in like a handful. Maybe a little more. It depends on how sweet you want your string beans. That's everything that we're going to add. We're going to turn this on a medium heat and put a lid on it. We'll check back in with these green beans in about 20 minutes to see how they're doing. All right, it's been 20 minutes. Let's try a green bean. It needs some salt because the water we used was just plain water. So we need to add a little more salt. And I need more brown sugar. All right, we're gonna add some more brown sugar. I don't know how much that is, a tablespoon or 2. And I actually did this same recipe in our yurt video at the Airbnb. I'm gonna link that in the info card. But it's the same recipe. That's better. Actually let this cook a little more. Another 20 or 30 minutes, and then, well, they're probably cooked now. They're cooked now, obviously. They're already cooked. But we want the flavors to come together, so let's do another 30 minutes, and we'll check back with the green beans then. So we've let this simmer at medium for about 45 minutes. So we want all the flavors to come together. That came out so good. It has a nice combination of salty and sweet with the onions in there and the bacon. It's gonna go so good with the baked beans. But yeah, this was really easy. You don't have to cook it that long. Honestly, you can cook it until the butter melts, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe. But I wanted to make sure that the flavors came together in this. It came out so good. This is gonna go so good with the ribs. And that's it. It was really easy. This is super easy.
What's up, T.F.C. family? Got me pulled now. Let's talk about this meal that you get to cook by watching our video. You can't beat that, right? We got them Who Dat Baked Beans, them apple cherry ribs. Look at that red color on that. That's gorgeous. And delicious green beans. You can't beat that. That's a meal for a king. They were actually queen whoever cooked for you to make you one like this. You can't beat this. And don't forget to hit subscribe. We got more recipes, more life, more of everything coming. Hit like, share, and remember, a real friend don't let another friend watch YouTube without watching this channel. Who dat, baby?